is a presentation of Fox Sports.
We are Fox. We are Ohio.
After a lot of cloud cover in the early part of this Saturday afternoon, it's turning into a beautiful night. Roof open here at Miller Park in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Round two, Reds trying to make it back-to-back wins against the Milwaukee Brewers. Hi again, everybody. Alongside Chris Welsh and Jim Day, I'm Tom Brenneman. Welcome, as always, to Reds Baseball on Fox Sports Ohio. Last night, sensational work by starter Homer Bailey. And really, Chris, over about the last 2.5 weeks, that has been what has happened more times than not for the Reds.
Well, it sure makes managing a lot easier for Brian Price when your starting pitching has done what the Reds have done in the last couple of weeks, over 14 games. Second best in the National League in earned run average, the starters are. The opponent batting average down around 215. So, I mean, this is really getting the job done. And they're still not completely healthy the way they thought they would be. Homer Bailey having his ups and downs, although he was dominant last night. DeSclafani has been very, very good. And Dan Straley, really, though, the biggest surprise probably of anybody in all this entire team, he was picked up off the waiver wire on April Fool's Day. And until DeSclafani and Homer Bailey came back, this guy was the ace of the staff, throwing the ball extremely well right now. So, but the matchup tonight that you have with Straley is completely different than what you had last night with Jimmy Nelson and Homer Bailey. Last night it was Powder River. Today it's finesse, it's craftiness. Zach Davies is on some kind of terrific roll. Dan Straley's on a great roll. These guys know how to pitch. It's not Powder River tonight. It's not power pitching. It's guys that are going to do a little bit of this, a little bit of that, and they're going to get the hitters to hit their pitch, but hit it right out of fielder, and they've been very, very good. Back on July the 17th, the Great American Ballpark, boy, it was a good old good one, or what Marty Brenneman likes to say. As it turned out, it was a 1-0 Reds win. And in that game, it was a pass ball at the end of the ball game that ended up allowing the Reds to win that game 1-0. It was a good matchup, Straley and Zach Davies. So we've got another matchup of these two guys going at it again here tonight at Miller Park.
All right, when we come back, we'll check in for the first time tonight with Jim Day. And he'll have the story of a couple of Brewer bashers in the Reds lineup again tonight. You're watching Reds Baseball on Fox Sports Ohio.
Cincinnati USA Regional Tourism Network. Stay close to CincinnatiUSA.com. And by Skyline Chili. Feeling good? It's Skyline time. How about a little game of Jenga? Where they love to tailgate here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Look out. Had it going on there pretty good, though. I'm Jim Day. You know, Adam Duvall just tore up pitching in the first half of the season, then went to the All-Star game. And since then, overall, it's been, well, yeah, a bit of a struggle, like it is for me to sit here in front of players and get pounced by sunflower seeds. But perhaps last night, Duvall turning the corner. 3 for 4 last night. Hit that home run, RBI, and scored 2 runs. You got to start somewhere. Or maybe it's seeing this Brewers team, like Brandon Phillips as well. Last night, Brandon fighting through injuries. But how about a 3 for 5 night? A double, RBI, and also scored a run. These two have been Brewer bashers. It's part of our IGS bringing the energy this season versus Milwaukee. Look at Duvall and Phillips. 357 for Duvall, 361 for Phillips. 5 and 4 home runs, respectively. That's the most versus any other team, as well as the runs driven in. 15 RBIs for Adam Duvall and 9 for Phillips against the Brew Crew. Dan Straley goes to the hill for Cincinnati. Reds looking to get back in the win column as far as winning a series goes. They can do it tonight. Reds and the Brew Crew, or tonight, Los Rojos. First pitch is next with Tom and Chris.
Start. Brian Price and the Reds. 47 up, 67 down. Winners here last night, 7-4. It wasn't that close. And here's his lineup tonight. Billy Hamilton in center. Cozart at shortstop, Joey Votto at first. Duvall, a big game here last night. 3 hits, including a home run. Phillips at second and Schebler in right. A ladder third of Suarez, Barnhart. And really the hottest pitcher in the Reds rotation right now, Dan Straley, and the hottest pitcher without a doubt in the Brewers rotation, and really among the hottest in all of Major League Baseball after 3 dreadful starts to begin the year. An ERA at 2.9 since is Zach Davies.
And he's only 22 years old. That is really the most remarkable thing. Last year, he started the season in the Baltimore Orioles organization, AAA player. He was chosen to be their representative, the Orioles representative, to the 2015 Futures game. Shortly after that, he was traded by the Orioles over here to the Milwaukee Brewers in exchange for Gerardo Parra. So the Brewers look very good on the trade so far by getting young Zach Davies. He's not a big guy. In fact, people joke that he looks more like the bat boy than he looks like a major league pitcher. 6 feet, 160 pounds. 22 years old, from Mesquite High School in Gilbert, Arizona.
First pitch swinging, and this will be a base hit for Billy Hamilton off the glove of Davies. And by the time it trickles over to Jeanette, no chance to throw out the fastest player in the league. Good way to get it started for the Reds as we're underway.
Well, Billy knows that Davies has good control, so he's going to be up there hacking early on, I think. And if you don't glove that ball immediately, that's the kind of look you get on your face.
So let the games begin. Billy Hamilton has 13 multi-steal games. 2 stolen bases 7 times, 3 stolen bases in a game 5 times, and once stole 4. In fact, that was on this road trip in Pittsburgh. Hamilton had 3 in the game last night and leads the major leagues 51 of them, and has only been thrown out 7 times. Zach Cozart, the batter.
You know, last night with Jimmy Nelson on the mound for the Brewers, it was a matter of, you know, not if, but when Billy Hamilton was going to steal, because Jimmy Nelson didn't have a move to hold him close, although he did pick him off at second base, but from first base, he just was too deliberate. Davies is a different guy, though. He's much more compact and quicker to the plate. And the other thing about Davies is that this year, if you just look at the numbers, he has given up 6 stolen bases, and they have thrown out 8. So he's nowhere near as easy to steal on as is last night's pitcher, Jimmy Nelson.
You know, it's interesting you talk about Davies. Originally a 26th round draft choice, growing up just outside of Phoenix and Gilbert, Arizona. You know, this guy, Chris, is younger. We talk so much about the young stockpile of pitching the Reds have in their organization, not only at the major league level, but at the minor league level coming up. This guy is younger than just about every one of those guys that you can name in the Red system, or the same age.
Well, you're right, but I think the difference is that you look at Zach Davies and you say, this is a much more closer to a finished product. He's not going to grow into his body any bigger. He's not like a lot of young pitchers who come up throwing hard, but they have command issues. And they do extra time in the minor leagues because they're trying to figure out how to control their pitches, how to develop a breaking ball. When you're 6 feet, 150 pounds, and probably in high school he was probably 135 pounds, you know, you've got to learn all those extra things that make you a good player. And he did that as he was growing up.
Those are the fly ball in the right center. That'll be Keon Broxton in the lineup tonight. 1 out. For the Milwaukee on defense, presented by Floyd. Same group we saw last night, with the exception of the center fielder Broxton in place of Neuenhuis. Broxton has been on a pretty good run here after being brought back up to the major league club from the minor leagues. Joey Votto had a good game here last night at the plate. Votto walked, scored, had 2 hits, scored again. Second run scoring in that 4-run 7th when the Reds took 3-0 to 7-0 before giving up 4 runs over the final 2 innings. So Votto increasing yet again his league lead in on-base percentage. On-base percentage and walks are the only 2 categories this year for Votto where he ranks among the league's top 10. By scoring twice last night, he moved into a tie for 10th in runs scored in the league. But, you know, normally you would see him batting average as Billy was leaning out there and was able to get back.
This is quite a cat and mouse game Davies and Hamilton have going.
You know, normally Votto's right there in batting average, runs, hits, total bases, certainly doubles. And then when you really break down into road batting average, night batting average, day bat, all those kinds of things, he's generally found littered all over there. But this year, it's primarily just on base percentage and walks, where he's first among all National Leaguers in each category. Two 2-0 on Hamilton. Not running. Votto swinging it, a 2-0 fastball, and fouls it away.
You know, I'm wondering, sometimes when a pitcher throws over to first base so often, it not only distracts the runner, but it has an effect on the hitter. Because every time he comes to stretch and set, you're ready for a pitch to hit, but he throws over to first, and then he steps off, and then he throws over to first again. Oh, and then he comes home with a pitch. And you can see almost the sigh of frustration on Joey Votto. Every time he throws over, he kind of lays the bat on his shoulder, you know, exhales. Here's the reaction as he throws to first base. Come on, I want you to throw me a pitch I can hit.
But boy, this is where Votto, though, becomes so tough, because he has that mental discipline and focus to get everything back grounded, knowing a pitch is coming sooner or later, or maybe not. This is almost Chris Welsh-like.
You know, not quite yet. When I did this at Riverfront Stadium in front of a home crowd, my first ever game that I pitched for the Reds, even my family and the passes that I left were booing me. The only people that liked it were the concessionaires. They were selling more beer and popcorn.
And even though we touch on it from time to time, I'm sure there's at least a handful out there watching right now that don't know this story.
What happened was, my first ever start, I pitched against the Cardinals. First batter of the game was Vince Coleman, an exceptional base stealer. And I threw over to first base, according to George Grant, who was running ESPN, he was on ESPN at the time, 17 times and won a bat to Willie McGee. And Davies is closing in on it. And I did not pick him off, if that's the question you're asking. He ended up stealing on number 18. I didn't go over, so I threw home and he ended up stealing. I did pick him off later in the game.
Really?
Yes.
Very nice. Very, very nice. 2-2 now to Votto. And a dribbler out in front of the plate. This will be an easy play to first. Hamilton on to second, and no doubt some frustration shown by Votto. But look, at the end of the day, the Reds would love to have Joey Votto every time he comes to the plate, with Billy Hamilton standing on one of the bases.
No doubt.
Alrighty, so a runner in scoring position is Hamilton, and let's see if the Reds can get that 2-out base hit. They scored with 2 outs in the first inning last night on a bases loaded walk. And here's Adam Duvall.
You know, if you're wondering what Zach Davies throws, he's got a nice combination of 4 different pitches. He's got a couple different types of fastball. That's one pitch. He throws a very good changeup. That's probably his best pitch. And then he throws a curveball and a cutter. The changeup that he throws, other than having good command of it, the reason it is so good is that it has about an 11 mile per hour difference between the speed of his fastball and his changeup. So it gives a hitter a really big spread of velocity to try to overcome, timing-wise.
Big shift put on by Milwaukee for Duvall. Nearly the entire right side of the infield wide open. But they continue to pound him inside. 3 consecutive pitches, 0-2.
Well, if you remember the post-game comments of Adam Duvall last night, he hit a home run on a slider that got away from Jimmy Nelson on the outer part of the plate. But he said in that at bat, he goes, what he was trying to do to me was pound me in and then go away with a slider. Davies does not throw a slider, but he is pounding him inside on the hands with that fastball.
0-2 on Duvall again, and a breaking ball is under the knees. Notice both teams, the Reds, their Los Rojos uniforms tonight here in Milwaukee. They celebrate Hispanic Heritage Night. Among all Midwestern states, Wisconsin has a very, very high percentage of Hispanic residents. 1-2 to count on Duvall. And a strike 3 called, and that'll win the inning. So Hamilton reaches to begin the inning. He's stranded in scoring position, and here comes Dan Straley. Ron Roenicke for his hometown team in May of a year ago. And really, you look at this Milwaukee team, for them to be 11 games under 500 when this series began, you'd have to say Counsell and his staff are doing something right. Far better than the way they played a year ago. His lineup: VR at third, Arcia at short, Braun at left, Jeanette at second, Chris Carter at first, Perez in right. Broxton, Maldonado, Davies against Dan Straley. What a find he has been for the Reds.
Well, you're not kidding about that. It's like he fell into their laps right around the beginning of April, and that's when the Reds signed him. He started out in the bullpen, Straley did, and he pitched so well out of the bullpen they gave him a couple of spot starts. He pitched there and really propelled himself to the very top of the pitching rotation. And he pitches a lot like his counterpart tonight, Zach Davies. Not overpowering, a little bit of this, a little bit of that.
And like Billy Hamilton, a base hit into center field from the leadoff man, VR.
Or VR struck out 4 times last night. He's just happy to make contact.
And what Chris is referring to is the top of the order last night. VR and Arcia combined to strike out 7 of their 8 at bats. And the trio, you throw in Braun, hitless. Braun did not get a fourth at bat. He was removed from the game before the Brewers came to bat in the bottom of the ninth. Orlando Arcia, the #1 prospect in the Brewers organization in back-to-back years, finally brought him to the big leagues here in August. 8 hits in his first 40 at-bats. Well, you talk about Hamilton, 51 stolen bases. Let's not forget about VR, 45 of them. Although he has been thrown out more than double the number of times Billy Hamilton has been, 15 times. And a quick pitch there. Strike one.
Well, there's two different ways, really, that right-handers can try to control the running game. One is to have a quick move to first and a quick move home. The other way is to vary the amount of time you hold the ball. Hold it a long time once, and then the next time go fast, and vary that so that the runner can't get on a good tempo.
Runner goes, swing and a miss, throw to second, and VR is safe. So the strikeout of Arcia. VR picks up his 46th stolen base.
Tucker Barnhart gets this about as close as you can possibly get it. And as usual, you steal on the pitcher, not on the catcher. It looked like a pitch really that Barnhart had to battle the batter a little bit. Arcia stayed in the batter's box, but for some reason it seemed like Barnhart ended up over in that third base batter's box too, the right-handed batter's box, and kind of had a tough time throwing it over Arcia. So the Brewers have a runner in scoring position.
And their best hitter comes to the plate in Ryan Braun at .322, 19 home runs, 58 runs batted in. Big swing and a miss. Well, what a run Straley has been on. Reds signed him, as Chris mentioned earlier, on April Fool's Day. Pitched in his first game for the Reds on the 10th of April. His first 3 outings came out of the bullpen. He has been in the rotation ever since making his first start on the 18th of April against Colorado. Went 5 innings, allowed 1 run. There goes VR. Throw to third. They got him this time. What a throw by Barnhart, and Straley a great job to give him a chance.
Well, he's standing on the bag, VR is, because he wants to see if Pat Murphy, who's on the phone right there, is going to check with the video guy and see if he got his hand in there.
We'll see.
Yep, Craig Counsell wants him to put the earmuffs on.
So that they will do.
You know, interesting on that particular play, I don't know whether Braun swung at that pitch out of the strike zone because he was trying to protect VR. Saw him out of the corner of his eye going ahead and to go from second to third, but it was an odd swing by Braun. He really didn't look all that happy after that swing and a miss right there. Here's the swing I'm talking about with Ryan Braun. He's down 0-1 anyway, and he chases the pitch way out of the zone. The other thing to comment on really at the end of that is you saw Tucker Barnhart throwing behind Braun. The rule book says that the batter does not have to leave the batter's box. You don't have to bend over. You don't have to try to get out of the way of the catcher. Now, you're not allowed to fall over the plate. Then you're going to be called for interference. But Braun swung at a high pitch, and he stood right there. So the challenge then is on the catcher to avoid the batter in the batter's box. So in that case, Barnhart just backed off and threw behind him rather than trying to throw over the top of him.
Right now, I'm sure some fans are saying, all right, well, what if Barnhart now goes to make the throw down to third and sort of initiates contact there with Braun?
There would be no call. Now, the only time the batter has to vacate the batter's box is in a case like this. You got a runner at third, and if the ball gets away from the catcher and the pitcher comes in to cover, you've got to get out of the batter's box at that point. You can't be interfering with that runner coming in and a tag play being attempted to be made.
It's taking a long time. Long time. Here we go. Out. Call stands. I'm surprised. You?
Yes, but no. A little vindication, I think, on the part of Bill Miller, third base umpire. He ejected Craig Counsell last night. And for Craig Counsell was barking about some balls and strikes, one in particular that ended up being a strike on the Fox tracks. So, umpires are human beings.
That one fouled off Braun's foot. Counted no balls and 2 strikes. Scoreless, bottom of the first inning. 2 outs, now nobody on.
Do you think there's any pressure on VR to run as much as he can whenever he gets on, just because Billy Hamilton is here in the house?
I'm sure there's an ego thing there, don't you think?
Yeah.
Well, it was just this week that Hamilton caught VR. With all the stolen bases being racked up by Hamilton, where he had those 3 straight games where he stole 3 or more, and now 3 consecutive seasons of 50 or more for Billy Hamilton. Reds franchise record 6 in a row by the Hall of Famer, the great Joe Morgan. 2-2 to Braun.
Well, you can sure say that the National League is a running league compared to the American League. You've got 3 of the top players in baseball in the National League: Hamilton, VR, and Starling Marte at the Pittsburgh Pirates. And then the leader in the American League is Rajai Davis. Rajai Davis has 31 stolen bases compared to Billy Hamilton with 51.
Throws a fastball up and in right by Braun, and that'll end the inning. A hit, 2 strikeouts, scoreless at the end of an inning. The 4-game series beginning on the 19th, and thanks to Reach Magazine, you can catch all the action, save with a 4 for $48 ticket offer. You get the 4 view level tickets and 4 Reds hats. All of that for $48. If you're interested, go to Reds.com/4 for $48. Love to have you at the ballpark beginning on Monday night. Marlins in town for a 4-game series. Dodgers in town, 4-game series. The Rangers, leaders in the American League West, in town for a pair. And if there's one guy in that Texas lineup that will feel right at home at Great American Ballpark, it'll be the former Brewer Jonathan Lucroy. Scoreless game. We begin the second. Brandon Phillips. Line drive, and it'll fall. A base hit. Boy, that is a lucky swipe there by Broxton. If that ball shoots by him, Brandon Phillips is running a long time.
Broxton thought when this ball came off the bat it was going to hang up there a little bit, and he was going to be able to make a shoestring catch on a fly. But you're right, as soon as that ball bounces right there, that is a 50-50 chance that you just throw your glove out there and hope the ball finds it.
Keon will tell you I had it all the way. Now Schebler, a 179 batting. 2 home runs, 12 knocked in. Strike one.
You know, it just seems to me watching Scott, I know he had that tremendous game first when he came back, a walk-off home run that nearly went into the river. But it just seems the way he holds his hands, he's just a little bit late on everything. And I don't necessarily only mean with the bat, I mean with his hands and his preparation getting ready to swing. Challenging the pitcher to kind of throw it right above his hands. But you got to get that movement to the point where you get your hands up and then right off your shoulder. Hitting coaches will call that the box, which is right around this area right here.
Shattered back as the count goes to 1-2. Short left field. That's easy for VR. And staying put as Brandon one away. Now Eugenio Suarez. One of 5 in the game here last night. Suarez knocked in 2 runs, however. And a run-scoring single in one of the few times where a player can be awarded with an RBI even when a defensive error was made on a play, because you cannot assume the double play would have been turned.
You know, aside from the month of May when Eugenio Suarez batting average slumped down in the 170s. He's had a pretty consistent year. He's had 3 or 4 home runs in every month. He's got 18 of them on the year. He's shown power to all fields. I think he's shown a lot of improvement defensively at third base. He's one of those young guys, you know, if you would have acquired him in a trade and he at 23 maybe still in the minor leagues, you'd be thinking, well, this guy's a prospect on his way up. But just having been able to play the last couple of seasons in the major leagues has been really good for him.
And now this year embarking on a new position after moving from short over to third. And really, you know, what you're talking about is, I think, Chris, is that, you know, when you look at the batting average and you see 230 anything, you're going, oh, it's not a real good year. Fouled out of play. But you know, that's where you're talking about where if you don't hit 179, maybe if it's 209 in the month of May, well, now you're looking at a 265 hitter.
Right. Well, you know, it was 270 in April. It was 173 in May. And then in June, 253. July, 262. And this year, or this month of August, you know, we're still early into the month. at 243. But I think there's a lot to like there.
Brandon had a very important stolen base in the game here last night. Reds at the time had taken a 2-0 lead. Phillips, after a Duvall home run, singled with 1 out. Stole second to get into scoring position, and Suarez drove him in with a 2-out single into right center field. Broxton for the 2nd out. Number 8 hitter, Reds catcher Tucker Barnhart will come to the plate with Brandon at first and 2 away in a scoreless game in the top of the 2nd inning. Beautiful night. Still plenty of sunshine. We had not seen the sun since arriving here in Milwaukee. And then late this afternoon, a lot of that humidity blew out of here. And perfect night for Major League Baseball. And the top of the 2nd comes to an end. 2nd straight inning. Reds get the leadoff man aboard, and he's stranded. Presented by Elk & Elk. Take a look at Dan Straley going back to the 1st of July. Only Max Scherzer, Chris, has been harder to hit than this Reds right-hander.
And it's really amazing, too, because Max Scherzer, obviously one of the elite pitchers in all of baseball. I mean, look at the company that Straley is here with since July the 1st, batting average against. Of course, Straley's a guy that even though he'll record a certain number of strikeouts, he uses his defense. And the Reds defense has been superb in defense of Dan Straley, especially Billy Hamilton. How many times have we seen Hamilton make a running, diving catch and seen Straley raise both of his arms up in celebration?
You know, not only since July the 1st, but you go over all the entire year, the entire body of work by Straley, which encompasses now, what, 135 innings. The overall opponent's batting average against him is .204. That is 4th lowest in the league. Now, Chris, the natural question is, many fans have asked me this question, but I turn it to you. Dan Straley was available. Nobody wanted him. So,
well, he was available more than just once.
I know. But so the question is this the real Dan Straley, a guy just getting a chance to be in the regular rotation?
Well, he's had a chance to pitch before. It's not like all of a sudden Dan Straley's getting a chance to pitch professional baseball for the first time ever. But it could be the time in which things are just coming all together for him. He went to spring training as a member of the Houston Astros, and he spent the winter training at a place called Driveline. Driveline is one of those pitcher acceleration organizations that emphasize weights and training so that pitchers can throw harder. And he actually went to spring training and he was throwing harder. You know, I read an article where he was throwing 94 miles an hour in spring training. As it turned out, during the spring, the Astros traded him to the Padres in exchange for Eric Kratz. And by the end of spring training, both of those guys, the catcher Kratz and this pitcher Straley, were both released and put out on waivers. So that's when the Reds came in and picked up Straley. But the difference that he did, he stopped trying to throw hard and went back to being a pitcher. And what you're seeing is the result of him figuring out how to use all of his breaking pitches along with the fastball that is about 90 miles an hour. But he uses it so that it seems a lot faster. Just high out of the strike zone, a little bit inside, never really just rears back and tries to throw it by you. That's a favorite spot for him with that fastball. Just above the strike zone, he gets a lot of easy pop-ups.
In each now, the 4 half innings of this ball game, the leadoff man has reached with a base hit. Hamilton in the Reds first, VR in the Milwaukee first, Phillips in the second, and now Jeanette. 1-1 on Chris Carter. And that's exactly what you just referred to, Chris. That fastball up and in, 90 miles an hour. That's where he struck out Ryan Braun.
I mean, hitters don't hit the radar gun readings. They hit what they see. So I think for Straley, it's a combination of where he throws it and a little bit of deception.
That's all for Carter. 1 out.
I guess that's the last frontier for scouts and evaluators and front office personnel as they try to gauge pitchers is what the deception factor is. Why are some guys able to throw a fastball at 95 and throw it right by him, or at 90 miles an hour and throw it right by him? Another guy throws it at 98 and he gets whacked all over the ballpark.
In the air left field. And a few paces back to get a Duvall, and that'll take care of Perez. 2 away in the inning. And now Keon Broxton. Broxton a .219 batter. 3 home runs and 10 runs batted in. '45th game of the year, 32nd start, all in center field for Keon Broxton. He's been up and down 4 times. And by far playing the best right now in this his 4th trip since being brought up and down from Colorado Springs, their AAA team. He has 15 hits and 41 at-bats. It's a .367 batting average since this most recent recall. 2-0 on Broxton. Slow breaking ball up around the letters, and he waves through it. That's a veteran pitch right there. 2-0, hitter looking fastball.
Young hitter at the plate.
Sure.
In AAA and AA, you're getting a fastball.
Base hit into center field. Didn't hit it very hard. Looked like he just squibbed it off the end of the bat.
Yeah, sounded funny.
That's 3 hits in the game so far by Milwaukee against Straley in the first 7 that have come to the plate. And Maldonado coming up.
Yeah, got it right out on the end of the bat. You know, the one thing that if you really are a numbers guy and you start breaking it down, one of the things you do look at is batting average on balls in play. And the major league average is somewhere around 290 to 300, depending on who the pitchers are. But that's about the average. So if you're giving up a batting average of balls in play way more than that, you're essentially being unlucky, or your line drive rate is off out of sight. If you're giving up a batting average rate on balls in play way below that, you're having a good lucky year, or guys aren't making good contact, if that makes sense. Okay, so Straley, for instance, in the last 30 days has the second best batting average in balls in play in baseball. So people that look at that number right away, they'll say, well, that's a luck factor. He's bound to come back to the norm here. These balls are going to start falling in, whereas earlier in the year they were going right at the fielders. There were great defense behind them. You know, line drives right at him. So this is where he is right now at a 223 opponent batting average on balls in play. That's lowest in the National League. That a great pitch there.
Breaking ball to get ahead, 1-2 on Martin Maldonado. Two on, 2 out, no score in inning number 2. One more pitch to make in this frame for Straley, and he'll be leading things off for the Reds in the 3rd inning.
Kind of fun to talk to Tucker Barnhart before the game today about the game last night, catching Homer Bailey. He said, you know, we had an inkling in the bullpen that it was going to be something special. Because just the way the ball was coming out of his hand, he said it reminded him of a game that he pitched a few years ago against the Rockies. And was just dominant. Good inning there.
4 strikeouts for Straley. He moved to the 3rd in Milwaukee, no score. Great American Ballpark. Our next one, August the 20th. The Dodgers will be in town. And thanks to our friends from Toyota, the first 25,000 fans receive a USA Reds t-shirt. So show off your American pride and come to the game for $12. 381-REDS, a number to dial. Jump on board at Reds.com. With Chris Wells, Jim Day, our producer Josh Hall, our director Roy Alfers, our associate producers Matt Sigafus and Lauren White, Tom Brenneman for our entire crew in Milwaukee's Miller Park. No score. We begin the third.
Do you want to mention what Dan Straley told us, the broadcasters, as we walked into the ballpark today?
Let her rip.
Your dad, you and I were walking in, and Dan Straley was on the bus, and he came kind of caught up with us and said, hey, today is the day I'm getting my first major league hit.
Well, it'll be in his second at bat if it's going to happen.
Guaranteed.
He is 0 for 35 this year. If he does, we're going to just say it ahead of time. It's going to be our Miller time moment. Brought to you by Miller Lite. If he can back it up. Billy Hamilton led off the game with a bouncer off the glove of Davies. It turned into an infield hit. He wound up being stranded at second base in that inning. Hamilton, the on base percentage at .313.
Interesting defensive alignment in the infield for the Brewers. They don't believe Hamilton's going to drop a bunt down the first baseline. You've got Chris Carter, first baseman, playing way deep. And I guess they figured that maybe the pitcher, Zach Davies, who was an infielder through all of high school, is going to be able to get over there and cover the first base line. They don't want Carter fielding the bunt, because if that happens, Hamilton's going to have a base hit.
Billy Hamilton in his first 279 major league games. His career on base percentage was .287. He is off to the races here. On his way to second base, and he's going to make that turn and come to third. Here comes a relay throw into third. No chance to get Billy.
Man, oh man. Love watching that guy run.
You know, it's just amazing when you just look at where a guy is and how he knows his own speed. Forget how fast he runs. But most players, Hamilton's hitting second now. Most players don't even think about heading for third. Hamilton, there is no debate about it. There he goes, different gear.
What a weapon.
It's his third triple of this season, so let's see if the Reds can get on the board. Runner at third, one out. Cozart, the batter. He's flying out to short center. His first time on. Strike one. But you know, Hamilton, .287 on base percentage. He went through injuries, went up and down the minor leagues. This year, the on base percentage still not where he wants it to be, but it is 26 points higher at .313. A little more than that now after the triple. His career minor league on base percentage was .351. If he were to get his major league on base percentage up over .350, he'd steal 120 bases in a year.
Well, just think how many runs that would translate into for the Reds. That's the important thing. I mean, stolen bases, obviously, the reason you do all that is so you score a run.
This will not bring him in. That's a very savvy play by a guy who is not a third baseman, because we have seen Hamilton this year wait for that third baseman to make that throw and then take off. He waited, then made the throw.
Well, VR's the same kind of player.
Sure.
I mean, those guys are 1-2 in the league in stolen bases right there next to each other.
Now the Reds leaning on Votto for a 2-out run scoring base hit. Joey bounced out to the pitcher in the first inning. And now they're going to alter a bit this shift on Votto. They move the shortstop from the first base side of second back to his normal side of the second base bag. There you see Arcia. He was over there shading into shallow right center one pitch ago. Two 2-0 on Votto. And this will take care of bringing in the run. Beautiful piece of hitting. Boy, is that pretty. Votto serves one into center, and the Reds lead 1-0. So delicate.
That's pretty good pitch, too. I mean, Zach Davies is probably thinking, all right, I got him 2-0. I'm going to throw him a changeup just below the bottom of the strike zone. Votto goes after it and takes a nice little serve in the left field for a base hit. Outstanding hitting.
Now Duvall, he struck out looking on a pitch like that his first time up. Two and one on Duvall. Reds a 1-0 lead. Reds beginning play tonight, still bringing up the bottom in the National League Central, but they're just 4 games behind this Brewers team for that 4th spot. There is a drive into center. It falls in a hit. Votto to second. The inning will continue for Brandon.
We're a lot better looking at bats for the Reds this time through the lineup.
You know, you brought it up last night when we were off the air about what a really good young fellow Duvall is. You know, Jim Day, I want to bring you in and ask you this because you're really the guy that spends more time around these players than anybody in our Fox Sports Ohio crew, day in and day out. I got to believe Duvall's among your favorites of this group. Am I right on that?
He is about as down to earth as you can get, and I judge a player when I have the opportunity to see them completely away from the baseball field. And I've been in a few luncheons with him, and he treats the fans and speaks to the fans just like he speaks to us. He is a true down-to-earth good guy.
And the Reds have a lot of those guys on this team.
I think it's important to have good guys on a ball club. All you need is a couple of bad characters, and it can take the team the other way.
Of course, you'll take a couple of bandits if they can play. And I don't mean guys that are getting in trouble with the law. I don't mean something like that. It's a fly ball to right field and have it in the inning. That's 1-0.
This is the most quality starts I've had in a season, and you know, I've already gotten there with less starts than it took me last time that I got to that number. So I'm pretty proud of that, and just being consistent. You know, that's something that I've always wanted my name to be tied to, is just being a consistent pitcher. I feel like that's all you can ask of any of us.
He's certainly proud of the consistency, gentlemen. One thing he would like to seek is not be known as a 6-inning pitcher. He'd like to stretch that out to at least be a 7-inning pitcher, and he's still seeking his first major league complete game. But I got to hand it to Bryan Price and the staff. When they picked him up off of waivers, they said this guy has a chance to be the 2016 version of Alfredo Simon. Remember, a few years back, Simon picked up off of waivers, went on to be a National League All-Star. Similar for Dan Straley in the success.
What a find he has been. There's no doubt about that. And he takes care of the pitcher. So one time through the batting order. And this is a Homer Bailey-like pace from last night's game for Straley. 2 1/3 innings. He has fanned 5 of the 9. Bailey striking out the second most batters in a game in his career last night. His career high 12. He fanned 1 shy of that number.
Well, the Brewers are a team that'll, I don't know, provide a nice breeze here at Miller Park. After all, they do lead the league in strikeouts. They come into tonight's ball game with 1,088 strikeouts. The Reds are about halfway in the pack, and they have 935. So 150 more, or approximately, more strikeouts for the Brewers than the Reds. The Giants and the Nationals strike out the least.
VR. Glove by Suarez. What a nice play that is to the glove side by Suarez. If that ball reaches the shortstop Cozart, VR has an infield hit, no doubt about it.
Well, he made it close as it was, but you got to go a long way, and he just gets it outstretched. And a good throw so that Votto can stretch at the other end and make sure you get him.
Ball one upstairs to Arcia, struck out swinging his first time up. 1 run, 5 hits for the Reds, no runs. 3 hits for the Brew Crew. Well, this guy is a wild swinger. How many young players have we seen through the years just like that?
Well, he struck out 3 times last night. All those strikeouts were against Homer Bailey. Struck out the first time here against Straley.
Flattened out on Suarez a little bit, and he stayed with it and throws out Arcia. A 1-2-3 inning, first of the game for Dan. 1-0 at the end of 3, Reds in front. with the MLB.com at-bat app. Stay up to the moment at any moment with Game Day, live game video, highlights, StatCast, news, and so much more. You can download MLB.com at-bat on your phone or tablet tonight. First pitch swinging. A liner by Schebler, gloved across his body. Made by Chris Carter.
A good reaction by Carter because that ball was just rocketed over by first base. And Schebler really needed that one. You can see the reaction Schebler has. He just kind of gets up there and puts his hands on his knees after he sees that ball go into the glove of Chris Carter.
Suarez, he fly to center his first time up.
Hey, you got talking about good guys and bad guys on a team. Reminds me of a story that was told to me by a manager one day. Said, hey, 25 guys on a roster. There are 6 guys on your team that are so wonderful and genuine. They would be candidates to marry your daughter. Then there are 6 guys normally on a team that are such scoundrels that you wouldn't want them anywhere near anybody that you know outside of the game. That leaves 13. The key to managing is keep those 13 guys away from the 6 scoundrels so that the good guys are near those 13, and then you have a majority of the team going and doing the things the way that you want to.
Interesting. Who was that?
I can't remember who that. I think it was a minor league manager that, not that I had, that I just had seen in spring training and talking about it. I can't remember who told me that, but it was a story that stuck. I imagine that managerial strategy would work in all sorts of different endeavors.
Sure. Right there a moment ago, Billy trying to protect the Reds' most prized possession there. Get away from me. He was laughing. He's joking around out here. I mean, look, Joey Votto was the guy when Billy Hamilton was hitting 205 that said, I believe this guy is going to be a good offensive player. He's helped him. They've watched video together. He's helped him. Chris, you talked about it yesterday in the batting cage before every game. Billy's been a good student.
That was a very interesting story that Jim Day told a couple different times while we were in St. Louis playing the Cardinals about how Joey Votto tells Billy Hamilton, we're going to the cage.
Jim Day, would you like to repeat that story for those that may have missed out on that a time or two?
Well, daily he'll say, Billy, let's go. Just like Chris said, and they'll go to the cage. And Billy says more than watching Joey Votto and what he does, he listens to the interaction between Votto and hitting coach Don Long and what they talk about. And Votto has tried to teach him that have a productive at bat. Don't go chasing results, meaning don't go chasing balls. Stick to your routine. And when he says have a productive at bat, meaning put yourself in the best position to get the best pitches you can hit. And you're not always going to get a hit in that situation, but put yourself in that situation and over the long haul. Great catch in center field.
A great catch indeed, and extra bases taken away from Tucker Barnhart. We'll take one more look at it going to break in a perfect inning for Davies. Broxton, the defensive gem. Cincinnati Children's, changing the outcome together. We'll look at Miller Park, just a 4 or 5 mile ride from downtown Milwaukee, Wisconsin. Huge structure sitting just off the highway. Enormous areas for parking, and a favorite pastime in Wisconsin among the favorites, tailgating. This is by far the best tailgating ballpark in Major League Baseball. By far. I mean, you just don't see many ballparks anymore that aren't right downtown in whatever city you're talking about that have this kind of parking and as many people that are tailgating. Football, you know, it's everywhere.
Well, you have no choice in really what you're saying,
Sure.
because there are no bars or restaurants within walking distance of this ballpark. So either you're bringing your own or you're not having any.
You see families all over the parking lot throwing baseball back and forth, playing catch, throwing the football around. It's great. Drawn a ground ball to short. Cozart gets rid of it in time. One away as we begin the fourth. Reds lead 1-0.
You know what they do during a lot of the tailgating here? They play beg. You know what begs is?
Begs?
Begs.
How do you spell that?
Well, B-A-G-S. But in Milwaukee and Wisconsin, they pronounce it begs.
Okay.
And we would know it as
yes, cornhole, right. Now, I know one group of people would argue about this being the tailgate capital of baseball. Those in Kansas City would tell you, much like this place, middle of a big open area, not downtown. They have a huge football stadium, Arrowhead Stadium, right next to the baseball park. There's a bouncer through the middle. Jeanette 2 of 2 today. But I would still give the upper hand, baseball-wise, to Milwaukee. Football-wise, Kansas City, mighty impressive. Chris Carter struck out his first time up, and he'll do that plenty. He's got some home runs, 27 of those. He's knocked in 66. But a very low batting average for Carter. Very low on base percentage, and he struck out 148 times. 148 of his 388 at bats. One out, one on, 1-0 Reds. We're in the fourth. 2-0. Schebler comes a long way to get that high pop up by Carter. 2 away in the inning. 2-0 on Perez.
Perez is having a pretty nice year for a young man that was picked up off the waiver wire from the Detroit Tigers. So very much like the pitcher that he's facing right now. The team didn't pay much to get him, but he's giving big dividends. 288 hitter, 9 home runs.
In the right center field, and it's up against the wall. They're going to wave around the runner. And Phillips throw to the plate, and they did not get him. Wow.
Wow, he's right.
The Reds may want to take a look at this play.
It sure looked like the ball beat him. And it was a very odd slide by Scooter Gennett. Gennett, I think, was very surprised that he was going to be waved in, because it looked like he was beginning to slow up a little bit as he approached third base. Ball comes right back to Schebler. So it couldn't have happened any better for the Reds. He hits a cutoff man on one hop. Phillips picks and fires on one hop.
I think Brian Price has already made the decision. He wants them to have a look at this. I don't think he ever touched the plate, did he?
I don't know. Bo Thompson is a man on the spot down in the Reds video room right now, taking a look.
Well, that was a, you know, you see the one hop throw, but there's an area there for the catcher, though, where it becomes a really hard one hop throw to handle. That was a great catch made by Barnhart.
Oh, you know what? He may have brushed against his throwing arm and never touched him with the glove until he already had his hand on there. Although I don't know right there.
Out.
I think you're ringing him up.
He's out.
Well, what a great shot.
Great shot. He got the hand on the plate, but it looked like the tag had been applied by them.
I like the drone angle personally.
Yeah, this is the best angle, without a doubt. So there it is, hard to tell where the hand touches the plate. So we shall see. Here we go. Out is a call. So that'll be a double into right center field by Perez. And then it goes Phillips to Barnhart. Was it Schebler who started that relay out in right center field? It was Schebler. Fred Couch was not a happy camper. Golly dee. He's not having to go his way these last 2 nights. Initially, the ruling at the plate was safe to tie the game at 1-1. Went to the video, and the runner called out. So Straley, who bounced out his first time up, still with that 1-0 lead as the Reds will bat here in the 5th. And it's in there, strike. And he's 0 for 2. MLS Soccer Sunday, sponsored by Audi, has an intense Western Conference collision. Seattle versus Real Salt Lake, 7 p. Eastern on FS1 tomorrow night, or watch it live streaming on Fox Sports Go. Here's Billy, a perfect 2 out of 2, scored the game's only run. He tripled in the 3rd and scored on a 2-out single by Votto. Ball, 2 strikes on Hamilton. It's the kind of game we expected here tonight, the way these 2 pitchers came into this one, both on a significant run of success over an extended period of time. Very low ERAs for both over the better part of a month-and-a-half, 2-month run. 1 run, 5 hits for the Reds. No runs, 5 hits for Milwaukee. Gonna be a tough play. Oh, it bounces foul. Really scooting up that line. And he'll make the U-turn and come back. He's even fast when he jogs. So where the Cubbies had their 11-game win streak come to an end earlier today. Fly ball to center. That's out number 2. And that's part of our greater coverage of baseball, brought to you by T-Mobile. How about Tyler Austin and Aaron Judge? First set of teammates in Major League history to hit back-to-back home runs in each of their respective first career plate appearance. That's incredible. Cubbies, big long winning streak is over. And Jason Worth has reached base safely in 41 straight games. Cozart celebrated his 31st birthday yesterday. Unfortunately for Zach, he went 0 for 5 and struck out 3 times. He's 0 for 3 tonight. Or I should say trying to avoid 0 for 3 tonight. He's 0 for 2. One-two pitch. Count even up. That'll stay right there at 2 balls and 2 strikes. Votto hoping for that chance to bat with Cozart aboard here in the 5th.
Yeah, you make a great point earlier. We were talking about the ups and downs of batting averages month by month, specific to Eugenio Suarez, about how he batted 170 in the month of May. Well, Zach Cozart got off to such a tremendous start. He was hitting 361 in April. I mean, he was just lights out. He's cooled off a little bit in May, went to 247, but the lowest batting average he's had in any one month has been the month of June when he batted 210. So that still puts him about 23 points or so higher than where Suarez is on the year. But their home runs are pretty close to each other. Suarez has more runs batted in. Kind of interesting how 1 month can affect you the whole year.
7 straight retired by Davies. Reds lead him by a run.
With more than one Brewer player. In fact, he has some friends in that other dugout. One being Chris Carter. He says each night he plays Call of Duty, the video game, online, and him and Carter are either playing against each other or with each other on a nightly basis. I said, well, it's got to be hard to pitch to such a good friend like that. He says, oh, no. It's all about the personal competition. He proceeded to spew out the exact stats of Chris Carter's hitting against Dan Straley pitching. So the two are close through video games, just like Tom Brenneman and Chris Welsh playing Call of Duty tonight. Late into the night.
There's a good chance of that.
Actually, we haven't gone beyond Bejeweled yet, but we're working on it.
That's right. We're saving our money to be able to go out and buy Call of Duty.
Well, maybe they'll have it over at the office.
That'd be the place to start. That's a great name for a bar.
You would have to tell everybody it was a bar.
You know that? That's a great name. I was thinking about that earlier today. We have a little watering hole here in Milwaukee called the office.
Yeah.
You know.
Where's Tom? At the office?
No. Yeah.
It's like what they used to say about Walter Cronkite. He had a boat named Assignment. He said Walter Cronkite is away on assignment.
Very, very sharp. High fly ball, right center field. Schebler calls off Billy. 1 away. Martin Maldonado, the batter. Maldonado came to the plate with 2 on and 2 out against Straley in the 2nd inning, and Dan struck him out. First time through the batting order, Straley struck out 5. The 2nd time through the order, he has not recorded a single strikeout. Pretty good looking pitch there. 3-1. Home plate umpire Todd Tichenor disagreeing. Ryan Blakeney at first, Tony Randazzo at second, and the crew chief we've mentioned already, Bill Miller, working tonight at third. Fly ball right field, and that'll be the 2nd out of the inning. While we have a moment, we received some terrible news yesterday. Such a valuable member of our broadcast crew back in Cincinnati, Mike Cisneros, cameraman, worked both the home and road shows, suffered a stroke yesterday, and tragically it cost him his life. I've known Mike going all the way back to our days working together at Channel 5. Man, oh man, just such sad news. Our thoughts and our prayers go out to his wife, Nancy, their children, Christine, Angela, and Michael. I'm sure it's just devastating news to them. It's devastating news to all of us. And God bless his soul in heaven above. Big, jovial, jolly, wonderful, warm guy. A rare hit for Zach Davies. That's only his 4th hit in his 42nd at bat. Out of play, 1 and 2. And that'll do it. So as we go to break again, Nancy, Christine, Angela, Michael, we're so sorry. Our thoughts and prayers are with you. At the ballpark Saturday, September the 3rd, a special post-game concert featuring country music artist Chase Rice. For as low as $32, you get a ticket to the game, a Reds trucker hat, and the opportunity to enjoy the concert coming your way right from the field. Purchase today at Reds.com/Chase Rice, CHASCRICE. We begin the 6th inning. 1 run, 5 hits for the Reds. No runs, 6 hits for Milwaukee. Joey Votto knocked in the only run in this one with a 2-out single on a 2-0 pitch into left field in the 3rd, plating Billy Hamilton. Steer that one right into the middle. Maldonado off the outside corner, 3-2. Boy, that's a vicious rocket right off the body of Davies into center field. A base hit by Votto. That ball was crushed.
Hard to hit a pitcher that's only 150 pounds, though. He can just kind of squirt out of the way of that, although it did get him on the leg and deflected into center. Ever since that first at bat when Votto had Billy Hamilton on first base and Zach Davies was kept throwing over to first base, and kind of affected the concentration of Votto. He grounded out right in front of home plate. He has hit the ball hard each time up. Drove in a run with 2 outs last time. That one a bullet back through the box.
So now Duvall, 1 of 2, singled into center field his last time up. That gives you an idea about how hard that ball was hit. That ball was lined off the body of the pitcher to the first base side of the mound, and it still had to be picked up in center field by Keon Broxton. That ball was smoked. But it gives you an idea, those last 2 trips to the plate by Votto. 2-0 pitch, runner at third. He just served the ball into left field to drive in the run. And now this time leading off an inning, 3-2 pitch. A rocket back up the middle. 2-1 to Duvall. Adam hit number 27 here last night. And this is a rocket into left field. Over to cut it off is Braun. And he'll keep Votto from advancing on to third.
Well, the Reds have struck the ball much harder the second and third time through the order. Second consecutive hit for Adam Duvall. He went up the middle last time. This time a rocket shot that would have gotten to the wall except for a nice play by Braun.
Derek Johnson is the pitching coach under the manager Craig Counsell. Two on, none out, 0-1 on Brandon Phillips. Here's a pitch. And a ground ball by Carter into right field. They're going to hold Votto. No, Hatcher's waving him around. And here comes a throw to the plate. And it gets away from Maldonado. There is an illustration of what we referred to a short while ago on that play at the plate on the catcher Barnhart, and what an outstanding catch he made of the thrown ball. That's a ball Maldonado is being counted upon to catch.
Well, you want to keep the throw down because you want to have it be able to cut off if necessary. So the right fielder Perez does the right thing, and it's a long hop right there. That's the easy hop. He just tried to swipe before he had the baseball in his glove.
The Reds have a chance now for a big inning. That's a single, an RBI for Brandon Phillips. Someone has to get charged an error on that play allowing Phillips, unless they're just saying the runner went first to third, and now both runners will advance on the pitch in the dirt. Coming in from third, Duvall, on to third, Phillips, and the Reds now lead from 2-0 to 3-0.
Now Maldonado did just about everything he could. He tried to get down there to block it with his body, just went off the side, and everybody moves up a base. Craig Counsell feeling this one just kind of slipping away from him, given the fact that Straley is pitching the way he is, and the Reds are beginning to get to his starter.
Back-to-back hits from Votto and Duvall, giving Phillips the chance. He drives in a run with a third straight hit. And now the Brewers bring their infield in. VR, Arcia, Jeanette, and Carter, with Brandon at third. Nobody out. 2-0 on Schebler. He had a good cut but fouled it back. A fraction tardy. Schebler is popped to third and hit a line drive at the first baseman, Carter. Faced a pitch up around his neck. And here's the walk to make it 4 straight batters reaching to start this 6th inning against Davies. And that's going to do it for Davies. Single, single, RBI single, walk. And that's the way it starts and ends in this 6th inning for Davies. He goes 5+, allows 8 hits. The fans
The Cincinnati Reds. It may not be reproduced or retransmitted in any form, and the accounts and descriptions of this game may not be disseminated without the express written consent of the Cincinnati Reds.
Reds fans enjoying this one so far tonight.
And we've got some extra ones up there, this time in section 209, the Rosie Reds, who came all the way up here from Cincinnati in a couple of buses. Enjoying their view from the second deck.
I believe that fellow we just saw a moment ago sitting there that we took the shot of. I just caught him at the last instant there. Is Andre Turner there on the left eating the nachos there. Real good guy. I think he owns his own audio visual company there in Cincinnati. Super guy. Good to see him here tonight. Didn't know he was in town. Squeeze put on and it's fouled away. Ball and 1 strike on Eugenio Suarez. Well, they tried on back-to-back pitches. 1-1 count. No. Now, if you're going to do it, a lot of managers like to do multiple things with a 2-1 count, figuring the pitcher doesn't want to fall behind 3-1. So the likelihood of getting a strike on this pitch is pretty high. 2-1 to count. Oh, we don't need no stinking bunt. On this one, it's long gone. Los Rojos and Mr. Suarez, a 3-run big fly. And a huge inning, a 5-run six with still nobody out after Suarez clubs number 19.
Well, it was the 7th inning last night that the Reds kicked the door down with a 4-run inning, and they're getting 5 already tonight on that big swap by Suarez. Maybe Brian Price is happy that he fouled off that suicide bunt attempt after all.
Sure. That's a long ways from home plate. Fifth inning with 5 or more runs in an inning for the Reds, third most among all teams in the National League. They only had 8 such innings all of last year. The Reds now opening up this 6-0 lead. It was 1-0 when they came to play the plate against Davies in this 6th inning. Singles by Votto and Duvall. RBI single by Phillips. Walk to Schebler. That was all for Davies. And Suarez, the long ball. Bouncer back up through the middle. Tough play here. And that'll be another base hit. 6 straight batters reach safely to start this 6th inning.
And 5 of the 6 on base hits. So the Reds are earning their way aboard. They've got the shift on Tucker Barnhart, the second baseman, playing very deep. Scooter Gennett gets to it but can't get it over to first base in time. It's another guy having a pretty good year offensively.
Sure is.
So you start comparing the numbers for Tucker Barnhart and comparing him to other catchers around baseball. Pretty impressive. I mean, for those people, and there are some out there that don't feel that Tucker Barnhart can be an everyday catcher. I don't agree with them. I think he can be, and he's proved it this year.
I'm with you all the way
but
on that.
All the major leagues, and if you just rate catchers only that catch every day, Tucker Barnhart is 9th in batting average.
He's talking about all of baseball now.
All of baseball.
30 teams.
He's 7th in on-base percentage and 11th in OPS. So he's in the top half of baseball.
It goes to show you something that you and I have talked about for a long, long time. And I think that maybe there are general managers that are starting to maybe buy into this a little bit. If you have guys that are really good offensive players, there's a high throw and the runner's safe, and Straley is safe. And now the runner going to advance second to third. Boy, this is ugly all the way around for the Brew Crew. I mean, that's got double play written all over it. An out at second for sure. And they don't get a single out. So that'll be I assume, a sacrifice for Straley. And then a throwing error by the shortstop Arcia, allowing
Straley to get the first. I think Arcia tried to make something out of nothing right there when the throw was wild to him and took him off the bag.
It's got to be a sacrifice in an E6, allowing Straley to reach and allowing Barnhart to advance to third. And now Billy Hamilton. Well, they're giving that a fielder's choice and 2 errors on the same play.
Yeah.
The throwing error by Maldonado.
Correct.
And then the throwing error by Arcia.
That actually makes a little more sense. Because a good throw by Maldonado would have gotten the lead runner at second base. So thereby you wouldn't give Straley a sacrifice.
Oh, 2 on Billy Hamilton. 2 hits and 3 at-bats. Single, triple, run scored. A 5-run inning. And runner going to stay. They get the out at second. That's really the only out unless you were going to take Hamilton's out. But you'd like to keep the double play in order. So after looking back, Barnhart at third. They cut down Straley at second. 1 out in the inning.
Question is, how long will that double play be in order?
Billy, 51 stolen bases. He's been thrown out 7 times. He bluffs going, and it's ball 1 to Kozar. One ball and 1 strike. Kozar 0 for 3 tonight. A fly ball to center, a ground out to third, and then struck out in the 5th. He is a 9th red to bat in what thus far has been a 5-run 6th inning. And they're on the corners with only 1 out. Billy running, fouled out of play, 1 and 2.
Scooter's in the middle of a lot of that kind of stuff.
And this will fall over the head of the shortstop. Hamilton advancing on to third, scoring from third. Barnhart, a 6-run 6th and still batting. Reds lead 7-0.
Or you talk about having an inning just come apart at the seams for the Brewers. You bring the infield in, so you get a little lob shot over the head of the shortstop. 11 hits now for the Reds.
This whole inning.
First in the series by Zach Kozar.
Whole inning began on a single to center by Votto. This is a sinking missile in the right, but stooped by Perez. Hamilton will score. They're going to hold Kozar. Double by Votto. 7 runs in the 6th inning. 8-0 Reds lead. And that puts Votto over 300 on the year. This was a guy barely hitting over 200 a couple of months into the season.
Locked in is the only way that you can describe Votto's hitting right now. After that first at bat where he dribbled it out in front of the plate, he's hit 3 balls all over the ballpark. He's gone to left field for a base hit to drive a run in. He'd hit the pitcher with a line drive through the box, and that one a sinking liner that was too hard to handle for the right fielder.
Infield remains in despite it being an 8-0 game. And a strike 1 to Duvall. Runners at second and third, still only 1 out.
I think the words of encouragement that Michael Blazek got from the pitching coach Derek Johnson just before this at bat started for Duvall was, you're in there for the duration here. We need somebody to eat up an inning or 2. Although they have had a little activity down their bullpen.
Fly ball, it'll plate another run. Catch made. Here comes Kozar. Throw will just come into the cutoff man. An 8-run 6th inning. Sac fly RBI from Duvall. And it is 9-0 Cincinnati. Runner at second is Votto, 2 away, and a pitch to Phillips, who knocked in the first run of this 8-run 6th. Takes up and in, 2 balls and no strikes on Brandon. That ball stung into right center field, will be caught at the warning track. 12 back, 8 score. Suarez accounts for 3 with one hearty crack of the bat after a failed squeeze attempt. Reds squeeze in the Brewers 9-0. 19, 20, 21, 22. And thanks to Reach Magazine, you can catch all the action and save. We have our 4 for $48 ticket offer, so you get the 4 view level tickets, 4 Reds hats, all of that for $48. Look forward to seeing you at Great American Ballpark. A long homestand coming up. Beginning day after tomorrow. Marlins Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday. All night games. Dodgers Friday night, Saturday night, Sunday and Monday afternoon games. That's right, Monday. And then the Texas Rangers. Back-to-back night games, the 23rd and 24th. Night is over for Billy. Tyler Holt will take over for him. And wouldn't you know it, the ball's going to find him right from the get-go, and he's able to handle it. Nice running catch off the bat of Arcia. So Straley, the last time he walked off the mound with a strikeout of VR in the 5th, it was a 1-0 game. Well, about a half hour later, he takes the mound in the 6th. His team 9 runs, 12 hits.
Now another batter, another fly ball out for Dan Straley, and it's kind of unusual because you always say, well, we want a bunch of sinker ball pitchers in Cincinnati, right? Because the fences are so close. Well, here, the ball flies better here in Milwaukee than it does even in Cincinnati. And they haven't hit one really that has been threatening to be out of the ballpark yet, and he's got a lot of fly balls tonight. When you look at his out distribution, 6 strikeouts, 3 groundouts, and 5, now 6 flyouts with that last fly ball to Tyler Holt in center.
This ball's hit a ton. This one might lead the yard. It will. That is a home run by Ryan Braun.
Now with a 9-0 lead, you pump fastballs in there and you make them hit a whole bunch of those to tie the game up. At this point, that represents a grudge point. He's still got plenty of power, Braun does.
That's home run number 20 for him.
The other thing to note about Dan Straley is not only is he a fly ball pitcher, but he is the best fly ball pitcher, or the most prodigious fly ball pitcher in the National League. In fact, he gets fewer ground ball outs than any other starting pitcher in the National League. 33% ground ball outs. 50% is pretty much a cutoff point.
Well, that really does go against the grain of what you brought up earlier on what you would think you would want in a hitter-friendly ballpark to have success.
The other thing it kind of does, it may explain a little bit about the batting average on balls in play being so low against Straley. Because if you get a ball in the air and you have good outfielders, they're going to get to it. Whereas ground balls with, you know, low cut infields, very fast grass, ground balls seem to find holes a lot more than pop-ups seem to find no man's land.
Two and two on Jeanette, a perfect 2 of 2 in the game. A pair of singles to center field. And make it a third one. Action in the Reds bullpen. Three very hard-hit balls in this inning. A line drive by Arcia, which was caught. A home run by Braun. Now a line drive in the center. A third hit for Jeanette. And Yumbo beginning to get loose. Jumbo Diaz. Not quite as sharp here in this inning. He had a long time on that bench.
I think you trade that long time on the bench in for 8 runs any day of the week.
You better believe that. This was a matchup Jim was talking about earlier with one of his best buddies, Chris Carter. Jim Day, are you a Call of Duty guy?
I have played it, but not much, and I have not played it online like most people do. I play against the computer because you can put it on the easy setting. But I haven't played it much.
Is there a primary character or named character in that game or no?
I think it changes from each version.
It does, okay. The single on the left.
I might be wrong about that. I'm sure someone will light me up on
Well, they can't
social
light you
media.
up. You either know it, you don't know it. I mean,
Well,
what
not
the
light
heck?
me up, but at least inform me.
Yeah, there we go. Well, Carter getting the best of Straley this time. So that's 4 balls struck pretty well. I mean, that one was not the missile of the other 3. But still, that caught a big portion on the barrel of the bat. And here comes Mac Jenkins. I mean, I'm not so sure they squared up. You know, both of Jeanette's base hits in this game have been clean, sharp singles into center field. And the Davies base hit was a line drive into center. But, I mean, that's 3 2+ times through the order. And now they squared up 4 in a row to begin this 6th inning. 1 for an out and 1 went out. So now Dan going to zero in on Hernan Perez, who doubled into right center field. That was a ball that went to the wall. Schebler picked it up, threw to Brandon, who fired to Barnhart. Jeanette was initially ruled safe by the home plate umpire Todd Tichenor, and then Brandon Phillips and company thought, well, maybe Brian Price ought to take a look at this. He requested a look at it as that was going to fall. And everybody's safe.
Well, the good news is there was no collision and it resulted in an injury, but it does show you, not taking anything away from Tyler Holt, but he's not Billy Hamilton. And with Hamilton out there, I think that Brandon Phillips would have just peeled off immediately and let Billy take over. At that time, a little bit of a hesitation by Holt. That ball falls into no man's land, and that will be the last batter that Dan Straley will face tonight.
5+ innings by Straley. Gives up 10 hits. 4 in a row here in the 6th. 9-1 ball game.
Game summary, what a 6th inning it was for the Reds. Eugenio Suarez, 3-run bomb. The Reds sent 12 men to the plate. They scored 8 times. Joey Votto had 2 hits in the inning, including an RBI double as the Reds blew this game open. Dan Straley was cruising through 5 innings, but perhaps that long wait in that half inning that saw his team score all those runs worked against him. He is out of this game now after 5 1/3. And Jumbo is on for the Reds.
Well, Dan Straley goes 5 1/3 and gave up the home run in this inning. Bases, however, are loaded for Jumbo Diaz to try to get out of this jam. Of course, they've all belonged to Straley. Keon Broxton, the right-handed batter, number 7 in the order, steps in.
All right. 1 out, 1 in, but they're loaded. Looking for that first pitch fastball. And Jumbo had some hair on that one. Sharp, biting slider down and away to get ahead. 0-2. That's a good pitch by Jumbo. On the way. Oh, where did that miss?
How do you take it?
Where was that pitch? Oh. Hey. 3-2 on Keon Broxton. That went up and out of the strike zone. Jumbo certainly felt that 1-2 or 0-2 pitch should have been strike 3. And now he wants to make a pitch here and not run it full. Bases loaded, 1 out. To the plate. And with a fastball. 97 miles per hour on consecutive 3 in a row pitches from Jumbo Diaz. Keeps pumping in those fastballs. He's in a rut at 97.
Really gives you some insight as to how athletic and hand-eye coordination of major league hitters is just so exceptional. I mean, 97, and he's able to foul off a few.
Well, if he could find that slider here, he'd screw himself in the ground. Double play ball here. They'll have to hurry. Not much on that throw by Cozart. In fact, very little on that throw by Cozart. Broxton runs well, but boy, it looked like the Reds with just a little bit of hair on that feed, and they're able to turn it over.
Sure looked like DP Lane all the way. It was hit hard enough, although Broxton runs very well.
Saw Phillips having to almost
stutter
triple
step
hitch.
like you threw him a changeup.
That brings in a run. You get an out. It's 9-2. And now the batter is Maldonado. Broxton will get credit for an RBI on the fielder's choice. So it's Carter at third, Broxton at first, and 0-1 on Maldonado. 2-2 on Maldonado. Runners on the corners. 2 runs home after the Reds scored 8 in the top of this 6th inning. And Diaz tries to record the final out. And he'll need another pitch to do it. I mean, Dan Straley's night just came to a complete screeching halt in this inning. He went through the front 5, allowing a total of 6 hits. Struck out 6, did not walk a batter. But here in the 6th inning, the first batter hit a rocket to the wall that was caught. Braun homered to center. Jeanette single. Carter single. Perez single. And that was all for Straley. Jumbo tried that slider and missed.
Interesting what he says after the game, but I would suspect that it has something to do with you just let down a little bit when your team scores a big number for you. They scored 8 in the top of the 6th inning for him. He went out there with a very comfortable lead, and you lose a little bit of the edge. And when you do that, you know, you give an opening and a couple of hard hit balls, a home run, a bloop. Next thing you know, they're on top of you.
And now Jumbo, after getting ahead of Maldonado at 1-2, walks him. You know, this is the kind of inning where if you can just put this inning away right now and you have a 7-run lead, does that mean the game is over? Of course it doesn't mean the game is over. But you're giving a team a chance to feel like maybe. And it's a long stretch for a maybe when you're down 9-2.
Oh, like they did last night when the Reds eventually brought Raisel Iglesias in to record the 27th out of the game. They had a 3-run lead, but it seemed like the momentum was really headed in the Brewers' way.
And here's a guy that got them on the board, you may remember, with a home run in the 8th inning. It came off Ross Ollendorf. And I mean, Flores hit it 1,000 miles to straightaway center field, halfway up that batter's eye. So they're loaded. And Jumbo again getting ahead of another hitter. 0-2, but now can he put him away? One-two pitch. So 0-2 has become 2-2. That has happened now on 3 straight hitters in this inning for Diaz, either 0-2 or 1-2. And the count reaches 2-2 for a 3rd straight at bat. Look out. Look out. Thankfully, everybody's okay. Two balls, 2 strikes, 2 outs. Bases loaded. 2-2 pitch to Flores. Now the Reds are having to get another pitcher up. Bases loaded to Brewers.
Cerveseros.
Pardon me. Three-two pitch. Got away with one there. Flores chased ball 4. Jumbo will take it. So Jumbo does the job. Reds lead 9-2. You know Mo from 700 WLW. Join him over at the Reds Fan Cam this Friday night at the Holy Grail on the Banks. You can have a chance perhaps to answer Reds trivia, win great prizes. You could also be a part of Reds Live. The party begins at 6 p.m. this Friday night at the Holy Grail. That'll be the Dodgers in town. Well, we saw Blaine Boyer for an inning last night, and he'll make it back-to-back appearances, coming on here with the Reds in front 9-2 in the 7th.
Boyer's got the Dan Straley beard gone wild.
That's that sort of fad is starting to slowly sort of go by the wayside. And these two certainly are contrary to that. You know, and Brian Wilson started that whole thing, you know, a few years ago. A lot of players started to
fear the beard.
Yeah. Oh, and one on Scott Schebler. He's never a big fan of you know, that whole thing. I mean, with Wilson, I don't know about you. You know, not talking about having a beard. It just seemed like just a big PR stunt to bring attention to himself all the time. Maybe not. He had a good run at it there, though. Well, he was a good pitcher when healthy. As good as any closer around.
Sure was. On a pretty good team.
Yes, he was with the Giants.
And people loved him in San Francisco.
Yeah. Well,
and they loved the whole fear the beard deal.
That's right.
I mean, a lot of people will wear fake beards to the ballpark, have a lot of fun with it.
Well, and they had a lot of that going on with a number of his teammates. You know, they had the Kung Fu Panda. You know, with Pablo Sandoval. And the Hunter Pence kind of following.
Then you had boring old Buster Posey, MVP.
That's right. Ho hum. Schebler at 2, Hopper at Jeanette. And that's the way we start the 7th. 1-0 delivery. And it's up and in. 2 balls and no strikes. You know, the one thing I do remember, though, you know, we're talking about Brian Wilson. I do recall the one thing I certainly admired about him. You know, I thought that, you know, a lot of that was sort of a PR thing with a beard and all that. But I do remember seeing an interview with him. And he talked about his dad, and it was a very, very moving piece about how close they were. That ball was shot down the right field line into the corner. So Suarez, who has a home run, a 3-run home run, now has a double to right field. I remember Wilson's dad, he was in the military. I believe it was the Air Force. I could be wrong, but they grew up in the Northeast, and his dad was a very strict disciplinarian. And Brian was so thankful that his father instilled that discipline in him. It was a nice piece by Fox a number of years ago. Tucker Barnhart, the batter. Runner at second, 1 out. Reds leading 9-2. Tucker 1 out of 3, robbed of a hit on a line drive to the center in the 4th inning, and then single to center and scored as part of that 8-run 6th. And Tucker with a base hit into center. They're going to hold Suarez at third. So a lot of the Reds getting fat tonight.
Boy, Tucker gets his second hit. He had a couple of flyouts to center field. He's driving that batting average up a little bit. He came into the ball game at 261. Last year he had 252. He's had more bats this year already than all of last year. And he's only 25 years old. You know, you think about Tucker Barnhart, and again, he came up when he was 23 for part-time play in 2014. Still a very young guy in baseball terms. Tony Renda's going to get a chance.
So he'll come on and bat for Jumbo Diaz. Diaz goes 2/3 of an inning. Picks up a walk and a strikeout. No run. Slow roller, they get one. Can they turn it over? And no, the throw by Arcia sails off the front of the Brewers dugout. So Suarez scores from third base, putting the Reds into double digits. It's a 10-2 game.
Well, a quick feed by Jeanette, and Arcia's got plenty of time and just throws it very wild. He's had a couple of those on tonight. Young man, 22-year-old. They've been talking about him being one of the best prospects in the Brewer organization for several years now.
Here's Tyler Holt. He took over for Billy Hamilton in center field in the bottom of the 6th inning. Brenda picking up his 2nd run batted in since being brought up to the major league club. You can't assume the double play, so the fielder's choice gives him a run batted in. Fly ball short right. Inning over. Reds tack on another run. They stand and stretch in Milwaukee, and the Brewers trail 10-2. $30 minutes before every game right here on Fox Sports Ohio with Reds Live presented by Ray St. Clair Roofing. And don't forget tomorrow, 1 hour time difference. Reds Live gets underway at 1:30 Eastern. And then Cody Reed will try once again to pick up his first major league win. He should have that already, but he doesn't. Willie Peralta starts it for Milwaukee. We invite you to join us on Fox Sports Ohio tomorrow. So the Reds dip into their bullpen and bring on the right-handers, put together by and large a rock-solid year. And that's right-hander Blake Wood.
Well, he was the only off-season major league free agent sign that the Reds made. He was a closer last year for the Pittsburgh Pirates AAA team down in Indianapolis. Throws hard, has a good slider, and when he can get the ball where he wants to, he can be very tough to hit. That's a nice slider there. I mean, he throws it as hard as any slider out there. We've seen him throw it up at 90, 91, 92 miles an hour, that slider, and his fastball runs up in the high 90s. Or the fastball, the four-seamer anyway.
He's got that kind of action even at just 91 miles per hour. It's mighty tough to try and hit it.
Kind of the way that Homer Bailey was throwing his slider last night. Very hard and just coming right off the table.
And that'll take care of VR to begin this inning. That thing made a right turn about 3/4 of the way to the plate. Sailing up and away from the Milwaukee third baseman. One away here in the 7th. Reds now 8 outs away from evening their record on this road trip through the NL Central. Marcy on the tapper back to the mound for the second out. It is amazing the difference in this Reds team. And really you can almost, not quite, but you can almost go back to the time from when both Michael Lorenzen and Raisel Iglesias were activated after lengthy stays on the disabled list to really shore up the bullpen and at least give Brian Price a chance to feel like you could win a game if you were leading by a run or 2 runs or 3 runs in the 5th, 6th, or 7th inning on. I mean, those were games the Reds had no chance to win. The way their bullpen was constructed for the first 2 months of the season, there was just no way they were going to win those games.
Well, that and the fact that you had some slow starts offensively by Joey Votto when he's hitting in 100s and he's the number 3 hitter and not getting the job done. I mean, it was part bullpen, but it was part some other stuff too. It just seemed like, when they talked about rebuilding in spring training, that the players began to believe it early on, and they don't believe it any longer. I mean, you walk through that clubhouse now, and it's a confident place. Guys are talking about winning ball games. They're not just talking about going out and playing hard. They're talking about winning. That's a huge difference.
And they are winning. They win this game tonight, and you got an 8-run lead. I mean, you're 6 games over 500 since the All-Star break. And I want to make sure I added to what I was starting to say there about Lorenzen and Iglesias. The other part about it is too, let's remember, they've also since roughly that same time, they've had DeSclafani come back. They've had Straley get on a run, which he's never been on one like this in his major league career. Oh, and by the way, they get Homer Bailey back. And Bailey has pitched 2 outstanding games in his 3 starts. That ball stung by Braun. And he's standing up with a 2-out double. The other thing, Chris, we talked about Brandon Finnegan. Finnegan went a month and almost 2 weeks between quality starts. And then all of a sudden he goes 2 games in a row, he doesn't give up a run. Last game he only gives up 3. So he started to turn it back around. And if Cody Reed could throw the ball or certainly build on tomorrow his last start in St. Louis, which was just an outstanding piece of pitching. Then at least you're going into every turn through the rotation where you feel like you have a chance. Straley's done that for him. We know DeSclafani has done it for him. Bailey, only 3 starts. And Finnegan, much better of late. What will be interesting is where the Reds starting rotation, how is it composed once we reach September? There was a really good article written recently. I don't know if it was by any one of the 3 Reds beat writers, Zach Buchanan, C. Trent Rosecrans, or Mark Sheldon from MLB.com. But the story was written about, the inning situation for so many of these Reds pitchers. And the equation, at least it's been, devised, whether you buy into it or not, about, no more than 30 or 35 innings from the prior year, et cetera, et cetera. But guys like Finnegan, first full year as a starter ever. Guys like him and Homer Bailey, you don't have to worry about the rest of this year coming back so late. But, even the Cody Reeds of the world, some of these guys are going to start hitting a number of innings pitched where, who knows, Chris, you brought it up last night. Maybe you think about going to a 6 or a 7-man starting rotation and bring up, fill in the blank. Amir Garrett, Robert Stevenson, whomever from the minor league.
Well, you're going to expand the rosters, no doubt. So there's going to be help if you want fresh arms. But, if those guys are down there pitching as starters, they're going to hit the innings limit too. So you're going to have a lot of guys that you're trying to get into ball games out of the bullpen.
We go to the 8th. Reds lead 10-2. Here shortly as we're set to begin the 8th inning. Carlos Torres takes over on the mound for Milwaukee. Reds in front 10-2. Cozart, Votto, Duvall. The scheduled trio to start the 8th. And a base hit into Cozart. That is his first of this series. Or I beg your pardon, his second. He picked up his last at bat. I'm sorry. He had an RBI single in that 8-run 6th inning. So 2 hits tonight for Zach. In the air, deep left center, and that's up against the wall. Votto, another hit.
And that will get him over the 300 mark, or to the 300 mark.
Yep.
I guess they didn't round up enough with this at bat. He comes in at 299. I don't know what the decimal or what the more numbers in that are, but almost leaves the yard going opposite field right here.
Boy, is he hitting the ball. That's his 4th hit of the game. Just missed whacking that one out of here. So Reds trying to add to this 10-2 lead against Torres, and it's in there a strike to Duvall. Nobody out, 2nd and 3rd. 0-2. Votto through May the 31st, a .213 batting with an on-base percentage so un-Votto-like at just .330. Now the on-base percentage is closer to .430. The batting average up over 300. When you go back to the start of June, Votto's on-base percentage over 500. Only Jose Altuve of the Astros has a higher batting average. It's incredible, Altuve. I mean, as hot as Votto has been, and he's hitting .380. Altuve is hitting .395. And Duvall out of there swinging for the first half. Now you start with the All-Star break, and Votto does lead all major leaguers in batting average, up over .490, and on base percentage that was .550 coming in. He's been on base 4 more times tonight. Yeah, that's reason to smile indeed. So here's Brandon. 2 of 4 in the game. Scored a run, knocked in a run. Two-1. This will bring in a run. The shortstop Marcia throws out Phillips. Second RBI for Brandon in the game, giving 48 on the year. Cozart scores. Votto to third, and the Reds have scored now for a third straight inning. It's 11-2.
The Reds have 16 hits on the night, and Scott Schebler hits one off his foot. He knew he went off. Hit one very hard his first time up. For the second time up, the line drive right at the first baseman. And he is looking for his first knock. Caught on base in the 6th inning with a base on balls.
In the air right field, playable out there for Perez, and the Reds are through in the 8th inning. They add another run. and lead in the middle of the 8th, 11-2. Ohio brought to you by Kroger. Stop by your neighborhood Kroger to save big store-wide. Great food, low prices at Kroger. And by Toyota. For over 30 offers, visit buyatoyota.com. Toyota, let's go places. Of course, Kroger is a hometown Cincinnati company. And Miller, a hometown company right here in Milwaukee, Wisconsin. The home of the original, the Highlight.
Like some of the guys on their day off took a tour of the Miller Brewery.
Yeah, here in the town you can go on tours there, and you can also go on a tour of Harley Davidson. Here's a young man that may have found a place for himself in this Reds pitching staff moving forward, Chris, and that's right-hander Josh Smith.
You know, it really happened, I think, for Josh Smith in one extra inning game against the Houston Astros. A towering shot. Caught. And although the Reds ended up losing that game and Josh Smith ended up getting tagged with the loss, he still, you know, he was like the last man standing. And the Reds went with him for, I think, an inning and a third, or I mean, 3 in the third, or maybe 3 2/3 innings. And just the way he handled himself out there kind of gave everybody the indication that, you know, there may be a spot for him in the bullpen. He was up last year. He started a few games as a starter, kind of an emergency start job last year, and didn't fare so well. But his second time through has been much, much better.
You know, when you looked in those numbers right there we put up, and we put them up for every pitcher, and sometimes you sort of gloss over, but, you know, if you just pick 2 of those categories, and you say what the Reds used to say to Johnny Cueto, and nobody did it better than Cueto, going to his first year, second year, third year. In whatever the numbers would be, they'd say, okay, let's trim that number and trim that number. And if you go back to Josh Smith, he's pitched 30 innings. He's striking out a batter an inning, but he's walked 15. All right, well, if you trim that number next year after 30 innings to, say, 8, well, I mean, you'd love it to be 0. But if you got it down to 8, and the home run number, you give up 5 in 30 innings. If that number becomes 2 or 3 in 30 innings, that ERA instead of 3.9 is 1.9. And of course, you don't get all wrapped up in ERA anyway. And 30 innings, you can have one terrible outing, and it takes you a while to get the ERA down. But sometimes it's just that simple, at least, Chris, to say it to somebody. Now, you pitched in the big leagues. Maybe it's not as easy to go do it.
Well, it's not, especially when you don't get regular pitching time like Smith has to battle with. So, he's got to do what a lot of long guys do, which is try to stay sharp at the same time without being worn out and be always on call. But more than anything, you've got to be able to come in and throw strikes. Throw strikes with two different types of pitches. And for Smith, he's got an average fastball, but he's got a really good slider that has pretty good command of. He just likes to peck away at the outside corner with that pitch.
Keon Broxton, Jeff Brantley might turn out to be right after all. I mean, he really thinks his Broxton has a chance to be quite a player. I made that comment earlier in the year when we were playing against Milwaukee. He turns on this one. It's up against the wall. And that'll be a double.
Almost on cue. I wonder if the Cowboys watching tonight.
I bet you he is. Back visiting family this weekend. Hope Ashley and the kids are doing all right. And the Cowboy, of course. He'll be rejoining us, I believe, on Monday in Cincinnati for the big homestand. Matter of fact, I'm sure he is. It won't be quite the same on Monday, though, without Marty around for 4 days.
Oh, he's taking a week off, huh?
Just a few days off.
Good for him. Yeah, the game prep will be a little quieter.
You wish. You wish sometimes everybody could just come down and sit with us at dinner on any given night here at the ballpark. Because it is, without a doubt, the Marty Hour.
Well, if you do decide to come down and join us, make sure you wear your Kevlar jacket.
You have an entire Kevlar suit.
Yes. I need it every night.
Yeah, you do. Holy Moses. That's that old Timex commercial, wasn't it? Takes a licking and keeps on ticking. And that would be you every night.
Well, you got to give it back a little bit.
You do. He took a lot of heat tonight. Two and one the count. Straight away center field again. Again, a long run for Tyler Holt, and this one will leave the yard. Maldonado. A 2-run home run to make it an 11-4 game. Going to 6 home run for Martin Maldonado.
Maldonado, a big, strong guy. Takes a big hack and goes right out the front door with that one. Well, the Brewers have 13 hits, but they've only been able to convert those into 4 runs.
1-2 the count on Andy Wilkins. Up to pinch hit for Torres. He lifts one into right center field. And Schebler squeezes it tightly to end the Milwaukee eighth. We're off to the ninth. 11-4 Cincinnati. Four-hit game for Votto. He's had 3 of them since the All-Star break.
Had one Tuesday against the Cardinals when he went 4 for 4 in that ball game. And just hitting the ball as hard as I've ever seen anybody hit it over this stretch of time.
Reds lead 11-4. Suarez will lead things off, followed by Barnhart. And then Ivan De Jesus Jr.
Corey Knebel is the new pitcher for the Brewers. Arthur Cerveceros.
He's in his second stint with the Brewers so far this year.
You know, I mispronounced his last name. It's Knebel.
Knebel. Been a good night offensively for Eugenio Suarez. A Volkswagen driver the game, igniting that 8-run 6th inning, a 3-run big fly off the bat of Suarez. He added a double, scored a run in the 7th inning. 1-2. Got some giddy up on that fastball. That's why his name starts with K. It's 95-mile-per-hour heat. Corey missed 2 months earlier this year with a left oblique strain. So he's just starting to get settled in after a rehab stint. It's his 10th game with a major league club since being brought back up. Strike one on Barnhart, who's also had a good night. 2 out of 4, 2 singles, a run scored. Devontae Jesus Jr. batting for the first time tonight. He had a big base hit in the game last night. Reds were ahead 3-0 in the 4th inning. Stayed that way until the 7th. So it was tight late. And he had a 2-run single off the bench and a 4-run 7th to blow it wide open. A line drive out. Lewis coming up last of the 9th. All Reds again here tonight. Golf Zone on Sundays. PGA Pro Jimmy Hanlon gives terrific tips, and he'll recap a busy week in golf, including, of course, the U.S. Senior Open being played at the Scioto Country Club in Columbus, Ohio. It's presented by American Eagle Mortgage and Varmint Guard. It's tomorrow at 8 o'clock on Fox Sports Ohio. Josh Smith trying to tie a ribbon around this one. Reds lead 11-4. Brewers bat in the 9th. Smith gave up a 2-run home run to Maldonado in his first inning aboard. Top of the order for the Brew Crew here in the 9th. Those will be 4-4 if they can nail it down with one more to go on this 9-game trip. And it would spell the end tomorrow would be of a stretch where they're playing, or will have played, 15 out of 18 games away from home. They have been gone except for 3 days for 3 weeks.
Yeah.
Because they've had off days on the road and that kind of thing. No, you think about that for a minute. I mean, 21 days because you had an off day in San Diego. Had an off day in Pittsburgh, and had an off day here. And so, 21 days. This ball is hit a mile, but foul. Holy
fair
Moses.
ball. He just called it a fair ball. Now, the batter thinks he called it foul. Jonathan Villar was ready to go back into the batter's box, but the first base umpire signals fair.
But the home plate umpire is coming out to say, I think I had a pretty good look at that, and I might overrule you. We'll see. At least some of the fans got to see a few fireworks.
Oh, now they're going to call a foul.
Yep.
And I think VR knew it too. You see that ball pass in front of the pole?
Oh,
You
yeah.
sure do.
Look how far that is, though. It's out in that concourse area. Well, Chris mentioned he thought it was foul. And then when he saw the first base umpire circle that finger.
You know, there was a time, and it wasn't all that long ago, that a call like that could be made, and they wouldn't change it. Umpires would hardly ever get together to conference. There just wasn't a precedent for that. And that was really the first thing that led to the review process. Eventually, of course, now we stop several times a game, it seems like, to review a play. But it used to be once an umpire made a call, that was it. It was in stone and not changing at all. And then Major League Baseball allowed and then encouraged umpires to get together, ask each other, did you see something different than I saw? And then now, of course, we are where we are with the review process.
Been a rough couple of days for the youngster Arcia. In fact, it's been a rough start to his, what many believe will be or should be a promising major league career. But 8 hits and 44 at bats. He's 0 for 8.
Well, he's got a big swing. Well, look at the leg kick that he has. Stands far away from the plate because he doesn't like to get jammed. He's got a few things to tighten up offensively. A lot of moving parts there.
Jam shot, fly ball center, easy play, 1 out. Arcia might be a kid, Chris, that goes to the Hall of Fame one day. We don't know. And obviously there are a lot of people that have watched him play a lot of baseball. But I think you bring up a very interesting point about a lot of moving parts in that swing. Normally when you see a young man who has that much going on at the plate, unless they're hitting, 315, 320, 325 in the minor leagues, you don't hear so much the kind of praise this kid has been given from so many people. I mean, he was hitting in the 260s in truly one of the great places to hit in the world in Colorado, AAA.
Well, I think a lot of it had to do with his defense and the smoothness of his fielding, his arm strength, how much range he has defensively, his speed. He's got good foot speed. But just compare his moving parts to Ryan Braun. I mean, Arcia, who is nowhere near the power that Braun has, and never will be, moves a whole lot more. I mean, Arcia should be a guy that is going to concentrate on just shortening that swing, just make it as compact as possible.
If they can turn this, what a play. Are you kidding me? And safe to call it first. Oh boy, Brandon bare hands. And they get the forced play at second base.
This is a tough play because that ball has tremendous overspin. It's just an awkward way to receive a ball from center field for Cozart and then try to put anything on the throw to first base. What a stretch by Votto out there doing the splits. Oh, De Jesus doing the splits. Barishnikov doing the splits.
That is a fair ball. Ricochets off that wall, which will allow the runner to score all the way from second base. RBI double by Jeanette, a 4-hit night for Scooter Jeanette. Okay, so let's go back to what we talked about here when Josh Smith came into this game. And we said, okay, if you could do two things looking forward, what would they be? They would be trim the number of walks, because the league's only batting .244 against him. So, you know, roughly 2 guys every 10 at-bats are getting a hit. So if you can trim off the walks and you can cut down the long ball, well, now you got something good to work with here. Well, look what's happened here tonight. In his 2 innings, he's given up a 2-run home run. He's walked a batter, which led to a run. So, obviously, that's still on the drawing board for Josh Smith. And this should end the game. This one will stay in the yard. And the Reds win it 11-5. An offensive explosion again for Cincinnati tonight, starting with the first baseman, Joseph Votto. He has 4 hits in the game. Suarez has a 3-run home run. The Reds score 8 runs in the 6th inning to blow it wide open en route to an 11-5 win. The postgame show is coming up next. Reds Live. You're watching Reds baseball on Fox Sports Ohio.